Hello friends, we will be covering the following. This video is the part of semiconductors. We will be covering biasing, forward biasing, knee voltage, reverse biasing, rectifier, half wave rectifier, working of a half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier, working of the full wave rectifier, output of the full wave rectifier, the filter, envelope voltage, Zener diode and the equation for it. Biasing. Let us understand the term biasing first. An external potential difference battery can be applied to a PN junction in two waves, forward biasing and reverse biasing. We will be studying forward biasing and reverse biasing in details, but trying to understand the term biasing first. When we give predetermined voltage, what is a predetermined voltage? It's a battery. To see behavior, it is called biasing. I'm reading the sentence again. When we give predetermined voltage to see the behavior, it is called biasing. In this, if you see here, this is P and N type. The positive terminal of the battery is connected. The positive is connected with the P type. So P type has got the maximum holes, and this P type, which is the positive side, with lot of holes in it, is connected to the positive of the battery. So it is forward biasing. This is a diagram of forward biasing, and this is the symbolic diagram. This is a symbolic diagram of the forward biasing. We will be studying more about it. This is a knee voltage. This graph shows you the knee voltage that we will be studying in coming up few slides. Now, graphical representation of forward biasing. Initially, voltage will be required to cancel out the voltage barrier. Once the voltage barrier is reached, current will flow easily. And here I have just mentioned that this is a symbolic representation of forward biasing. This triangle shape here, it represents you the P type. And this line shows you the N junction. Okay, so this is a P and N here. They are connected to a battery. So this is a battery which is connected, and because it is connected to a battery, so we call this as biasing. So I hope the term biasing is clear to you, and you can relate that this is a forward biasing. What happens in forward biasing? Positive of the battery and the positive of P type repel each other. So here this positive of the battery and the P type, they are going to repel each other. There was a depletion layer which was formed in the center. This depletion layer here, because of this depletion layer, we will notice it will start shrinking. Initially, when the PN diffusion occurred, when we brought the P and N together as a neighbors, a potential difference was created. This potential difference was created. It will keep on reducing due to the connection of the battery to it. The positive side of the battery is connected to the P type here. Now we have placed a battery and created a potential difference in opposite direction. There was a potential barrier that was created here across the this diffusion layer, right? So now what we have done, we have actually, because of this battery, created a potential difference in the opposite direction. The net potential difference is minus of the two forces. One potential, which will be because when we got them together, if you see the previous slide, so there was a potential difference developed across here and across the depletion layer. This potential difference minus the potential that we have put with the help of the battery. So net potential will be the subtraction of the two. So potential barrier will reduce. This potential barrier in between, it will reduce, and slowly the charges from here will start moving. Eventually it will start behaving like a conductor. The charges will continue to move. It converts to a conductor. It converts to a conductor and allow current to flow through. So we will see the animation also so that this part becomes more clear to us. I will be playing an animation for you to see and understand the forward biasing. The end result will be the electrons from the N type will start moving all the way here. How the connections have been set up, this is the positive, the P side, which is connected to the positive side of the battery. So forward biasing, if the positive terminal of a battery is connected to the P side and the negative terminal, this negative terminal of the battery is connected to the N type, then the PN junction is said to be forward biased. Here applied voltage V, whatever applied voltage that we have done, what is the applied voltage by the battery, opposes the barrier voltage. So initially there was a barrier voltage that was developed here, which we have seen in the previous video. So here the barrier voltage was developed. This cancels out. This is going to be, the net voltage is going to be the subtraction of applied voltage and the barrier voltage. So once this barrier is broken, that point will be called as the knee voltage. So positive of the battery and positive of the PN junction are connected in forward bias. As they repel each other, depletion layer will keep shrinking. So we will see that this layer, this yellow layer that you can see, it will keep on shrinking down initially when the PN diffusion occurred. Initially, when the PN diffusion occurred, a potential difference was created across this potential, right? There was a potential here. So this was called as the potential barrier. This was here, and here was a barrier that was created. The direction of these two potential are opposite. The direction of the barrier created here and the potential by the battery are opposite. Okay? The potential barrier, eventually this yellow line which we are showing, this potential depletion layer will keep reducing, and once it keeps reducing, this will start flowing all the electrons. When it starts flowing all the electrons, we say this has become from semiconductor, it has become a conductor. So we are controlling it by use of the battery. This is forward biasing. So let me show you one time here. This was the depletion layer. This is the P type. This is the N type. We have got the two together, the N type and the P type, and we have put a battery. Why is it a forward biasing? Because the positive of the battery is connected to the P type here. So once it is connected, this depletion layer in between will keep reducing, and the voltage, the barrier that was created here, will keep reducing it down. So let's play this animation and see, and eventually you will see all the electrons start moving in this direction. Let's play this. So if you see now, all the electrons are moving in this direction. See, all. So it becomes a good conductor. I hope this was clear to you. Now coming on to the knee voltage. Knee voltage is also known as cut-in voltage. What is the other name for it? The other name is cut-in voltage. The graph represents voltage versus current curve. So it's between voltage and current. The forward voltage at which the current through PN junction starts increasingly rapidly is known as knee voltage. So if you notice, the electrons rapidly started moving and it became a good conductor. So from this point, it started to go up. And in case silicon, it is 0.7 V, and for germanium it is 3 V. So what has happened? Knee voltage again, we applied a battery. So voltage applied by the battery minus the voltage in depletion. So we are going to subtract the two voltages. So that point will be called the knee voltage. After this knee voltage, the current will start flowing. So knee voltage is the voltage where the net voltage is 0 at this point. And eventually, after that, the current will rapidly increase. More electrons will start flowing. This will become a good conductor. Now will be starting the reverse biasing. Reverse biasing. In reverse biasing arrangement, P side of the PN junction is connected to negative terminal and N side of the positive terminal of the battery. So have a look here. The battery has been reversed. Okay. So here initially it was positive terminal of the battery and it was the P side, P type. Now for the reverse biasing, what we have done, this P type is connected to the negative of the battery and the N type is connected to the positive of the battery. So it is called reverse biasing. The barrier potential, there was a barrier potential that was developed in between. This is a symbolic diagram and this is the diagram of a reverse bias. So there was a depletion layer here and there was a barrier that was formed across the depletion layer. Here two parts. Okay. So the barrier potential increased and hence the energy barrier across the junction also increases. We have to use a big battery here. So sometimes the question comes, why do we have to use a big battery here? So we have to use a big battery in this case. So N is connected to the, first let's focus on the diagram only and then we'll go into the details. So the N part is connected to the positive of the battery. Depletion layer we will see in the animation will keep increasing. Resistance will further increase as well. Okay, so let's play here this part. So if you see, this is N type. Okay, this is connected to the positive of the battery. Okay, and this is P type and this is now connected to the negative of the battery. So this is called reverse biasing. Now when we play this animation, you will see that this yellow, which was a depletion layer, and it will keep on increasing. I will explain you why so, but let's play the animation just to see what is happening so that, you know, when we see a video, it just stays in our mind. Let's play this. Okay, so one more time, let me play this here. The junction has increased. The junction, the barrier in between has increased. Okay, the barrier potential increased to say VB positive and hence the energy barrier across the junction increases. We have to use big battery for this. The majority charge carrier move away from the junction. Increasing the width of the depletion layer, it behaves like an insulator now. Now it is behaving like an insulator. It is not going to allow the electrons to move freely. The resistance of the PN junction becomes very large. No current flows across the junction due to majority charge carrier. Current is say microampere. So we consider it almost zero. If we want a circuit in which the current should be same in spite of different voltage, we use reverse biasing. Okay, so let me explain you one more time here. Say the potential barrier, whatever the barrier of potential, the depletion layer, the potential barrier, that has increased. Okay, so this is showing you the new potential barrier has increased. Now gradient remains the same. It behaves like an insulator. You can see the charges were not flowing through, so it is behaving like an insulator. Current is being formed in microamperes, very small current, as minority charges are being supported. We will still treat current as zero only. Okay. We have to give high voltage because the current is very small, microampere. Why did I say we have to use big batteries? Because the current being formed is very small and for that we need batteries, the big batteries. the current here starts flowing immediately as we keep increasing the voltage. So as we keep on increasing the voltage, more voltage, then the current will start flowing. After increasing for a certain time, current reaches a saturation point and we will call it saturation current. So let me explain you here in the diagram. What has happened is, let's look at here again. Okay, now in this we have seen that once, let me play this. When we reach at this stage, say here, okay, now the potential barrier has increased, but there are, apart from these holes, there are some tiny electrons as well here. So they start flowing in this direction, which is giving you small micro current. We can say it's a zero current, but there is some current which is flowing, because in this p type also there are some electrons. So these electrons are flowing in this direction from here, the small electrons from the whole side from here. There are few electrons, so they will start flowing. Why? Because this barrier is supporting it to flow, plus we are going to put a bigger battery. There is a point that will come when all the electrons from here will kind of finish. So that is the point where it is called as the saturation point. Okay, so let's see the graph here again. Here, after increasing for a certain time, there was some current which was a micro current reaches a saturation point. This point has been reached and we call this as a saturation current. Reason for saturation current in minority charges are limited. There are limited number of tiny electrons there. So those electrons, it is very less number in quantity. That's why I'm saying tiny. So less number are there in the p type. So those were allowed to flow, and those for after a certain point, which is called a saturation point, there are almost no electrons left, so they cannot flow. So this becomes a saturation current. Okay, this reason for saturation current is the in the minority charges are limited. The minority charges, in the p type, the charges are limited. So what is the main use of reverse biasing? If we want a current circuit, if we want a circuit in which the current should be same in spite of different voltages, like you're putting one battery, two battery, three battery, doesn't matter, but the current flow should be the same, the small current which is coming. So then we are going to use a reverse bias circuit. So you have to remember, sometimes a question comes, where do we use the big battery? We have to use big battery in reverse biasing. Rectifiers, the process of converting AC, that is alternating current, into DC, that is direct current, is called rectification. And the device used for this process is called rectifier. So here, if you see, this is a AC current wave diagram. Okay, we have to convert this AC into the direct current, like this. This is the direct current. So what is the property of the direct current? It flows in the one direction, and the it is one magnitude. See, it's not here, it's increasing then decreasing, and the direction is also changing. Here it is in one direction only. What is the principle of rectifier? When a PN diode is forward biased, current flows easily. When it is reverse bias, no current flow through it. So we are going to use this as the principle of rectification. This is a graphical representation, as I told you, for AC and DC current. So this device can convert from AC to DC. PN junction, the other name for PN junction is diode. So here we are studying rectifiers. Rectifiers are mainly of three types. One is half wave, one is full wave, and the other one will be Zener diode, regulates the voltage. So we have three, and we'll be covering one after the other. Okay. First we are studying half wave rectifier. The rectifier consists of a transformer. This is a transformer here, a junction diode PN, a load as resistance. The primary coil of the transformer is connected to the AC main and secondary coil is connected in series with PN junction and further to the load. So the primary coil, see this we are coiling it as the primary coil of the transformer. This is connected to the AC main. This is the AC main. And the secondary coil, we are considering this as the secondary coil of the transformer, is connected in series. It's connected in series to a PN junction. This is the PN junction, which is further connected to a load, say a rectifier here. So in this we have put a transformer. This is a transformer. What is the purpose of the transformer? It can be a step up transformer and or step down transformer. It can increase the voltage or decrease the voltage. So here we are using it for decreasing the voltage from 220 volt to say 3 volt. Okay. When A is negative, the diode is reverse bias and it does not conduct. So what is happening is when we connect it to the AC, now AC will be positive, sometimes negative, the cycle positive and negative. So whenever from the AC here the current will flow positive, it will be allowed to pass through the PN junction, and whenever it will be negative, it will not be allowed to pass through the PN junction. There is loss of energy in this half wave rectifier. How? If this was say the AC that was coming, okay, this was the complete diagram of the AC that is coming. Now here if you see across this resistance, the voltage which is positive is going to come, then the PN is going to wait because it's not going to allow the negative. Okay, so here it's going to wait, and then again the positive will be allowed to come in. Then it will pause and then it will move in. So let's have a look at the animation as well to understand this. Okay. So let me explain you and then I'll play the animation. Coming on to the working of half-wave rectifier circuit, here the transformer is converting the 220 volt to the required voltage, like say 3 volt in case of mobiles that we use, some chargers that we are using, say for that we want 3 volt. From primary coil to the secondary coil, the transformer supplies desired AC voltage. So what we are supplying here is a AC voltage. So from here the electrons will move in. Okay, when during the positive cycle of AC, the AC moves in this cycle. If you remember, this is the positive and then it is negative direction, correct? So when it is positive, during the positive cycle of AC, the end A is positive and the end B is negative. So this is A and we are considering this as B. Okay, so A is positive and B is negative. The output voltage across R, we are going to notice this across this in this diagram here, how it is going to function. The voltage across R is only the positive half wave of the input. The total input is going to be say this complete curve, but the output is going to be only this positive part. The negative, it's going to wait here. During the negative half cycle, the diode is reverse bias. The diode here, this is the diode, it will not allow, it will stop. Why will it stop? Because it is going to become reverse bias. Why it will be in reverse bias? Because whenever a p type is connected to positive, then it is forward bias, but when it is a negative this thing coming from here, then it will act like a reverse bias and no current flows through it, since the voltage across the load appears only during the positive half of the input AC. This is half wave rectification. The disadvantage is that there is loss of energy. What is the loss of energy? As only half the current is taken by the load. So let me play this animation. This will become more clear once we run the animation. See, the electrons are coming. Here it is positive. When it is positive, electrons are allowed to move. So when the cycle is reversed, it becomes negative, it stops. So it has to waste some energy here. I hope this was clear to you now. Okay. Now coming on to full wave rectifier. In half wave rectifier, a lot of energy was wasted. So a rectifier with additional diode is made. This rectifier is with two diodes and is called full wave rectifier. So full wave rectifier consists of a transformer, two junction diodes, say D1 and D2. This is a transformer, this is D1 and D2. It has got two diodes and a load resistance R. The AC signal is given to the primary coil. This is the AC is given to the AC current is given to the primary coil. It converts it to the desired voltage. From here, the transformer converts whatever voltage we require, maybe 220 volts to say 3 volts. The two ends of the secondary coil is connected to, this is the A point and B point, and are connected further to a PN junction. So diode 1 and diode 2 it is connected to. And finally, there is a load here from where we are going to take out the values. So during the positive half of the current will flow through D1. So this is how the current will flow from D1. This is waveform at A. Okay, this is how the waveform is at A, and this is where the waveform, it is, see, this is going, this is the first, see, look at the crest and the trough. Okay, here the graph is other way around. So this is waveform at B. So what will be the eventual total from R that we are going to take out? Here there will be no wastage. One will be due to D1 and one will be due to D2. Then one will be from the D1 and one will be due to D2. So here similarly there is no wastage that is happening. So during the positive half the current will flow through D1, and during the negative half the current of the AC current it will flow through D2. So let's have a look at the animation that is going to help you to clear it. Here we have two diodes. Okay, so once we, this is the electron that is coming, the transformer, the electron when it is positive is passing from here, this has been stopped here. So now this becomes positive, it's going to pass from this end, that is stopped there. So here if you see that graph is being developed. So whenever it is positive in the first end, it's going to pass from diode 1, and in the second part whenever it's positive in this part, it will pass from here. So eventually our result is that there is less of wastage. So wastage time that, you know, remember here in half wave rectifier we had to wait for it. So now we are not waiting for it. So during the positive half, point A is positive and point B is negative with respect to the center tap. So D1 is connected in forward bias condition, therefore current flows through it, whereas D2 is connected in the reverse bias, thus no current flows through it. During the negative half cycle, point A is negative and point B is positive with respect to center tap. So D1 is connected in reverse bias condition, therefore no current flows through it, whereas D2 is connected in the forward bias, thus current flows through it. By this, pulsating voltage is generated. So we have just seen completely in this diagram how it is functioning. This is the theoretical part of it, and here what we are getting is pulsating voltage. The voltage is varying, so that is called it as a pulsating voltage. So we have to rectify that as well now. This was the pulsating. So here it gives output rectifier voltage corresponding to both the positive as well as negative half of the AC cycle. Hence it is called full wave. So it is giving the both. Okay, the rectified voltage is in form of pulse. So it is form of a pulse. It is going up, then going down, going up and then going down. So though it is unidirectional, it is in one direction, but it does not have a steady value. So the values are pulsating. Okay. As the output obtained from a junction diode is pulsating, a filter is used to obtain steady current. So what is a filter that we are going to use here will be a capacitor and a resistance. This acts as a filter. So it will filter out the voltage. To get steady output from pulsating voltage, normally a capacitor is connected across the output terminal. Since these additional circuits appear to filter out the AC ripple and give a pure DC voltage, so they are called filters. So here, when the voltage across the capacitor is rising, it gets charged. In the absence of external load, it remains charged to the peak voltage of the rectified output. But in the presence of a load, the capacitor gets discharged. Through the load and the voltage across it begins to fall. This is how the capacitor is working here, the filter being used here. In the next half cycle of the rectified output, it again gets charged to the peak value. If the product of capacitance and the load resistance is large, then rate of fall of voltage across the capacitor is slow. The voltage here does not get dropped drastically. It is called a envelope voltage. So it's not going to be drastically down. It's not going to be completely down voltage like here, it goes down. But due to the capacitor and resistance which is acting as the filter, the voltage that is coming out here, see, it is little waves. So it has become, some of it, it's like 10, 9.5, 10, 9.5, 10. So it's not drastically going down. It keeps the voltage more or less constant. So it is more or less constant, but it's not completely constant. So it is still varying, but not on a major scale. So here, the rate fall of voltage across the capacitor depends on the inverse and is called the time constant. This voltage does not drop drastically and it is called envelope voltage. It keeps the voltage kind of constant like 10, 9.5, 10, 9.5. If the supply voltage is reduced, then it will stop. If the input frequency is N, then the output frequency for half wave rectifier is N and for the full wave rectifier it is 2N. Let me explain you one more time. Though the voltage by the filter was not dropping to 0 but was still pulsating, right? It was 9.5, 10, 9.5. So there was a kind of a envelope on it. Zener diode, when added to the rectifier, now we are going to add a Zener diode, added to a rectifier can give a complete steady voltage without any fluctuation at all. So let's go on to the Zener diagram. Zener diode. We have just studied that due to the envelope, we were getting the voltage as 9.5, 10, 9.5. It was not dropping drastically. But still there is a pulsating voltage. So though the voltage by the filter was not dropping to 0, but was still pulsating 9.5, 10, 9.5. So we are going to use a Zener diode. So Zener diode, when added to a rectifier, it can give a complete steady voltage. One voltage can be obtained, a steady voltage without any fluctuation at all. So it is a Zener diode is a PN junction. Here if you see, this is a Zener diode. It is a PN junction that is heavily doped. The symbol of the Zener diode is like a tilde. See this tilde? It's not a straight line. It is like a curved line instead of a straight line. So this is showing you that it is a heavily doped PN junction. This is connected in reverse bias here. So 9.5, 10, 9.5 was coming. Zener can cut this voltage down to make it steady. But it does not have its own energy that it can cut to make it to rise high. For example, only 9.5 will pass through. It cannot make it 10. Rest all will be leakage. So if it is 9.5, it will pass through. If it is 10, it will be leakage. And in case it's 9.4, then it cannot make it 9.5 and pass through it. So Zener does not have its own energy. That is why our voltage should be more than the Zener voltage. If it is 9.4, it cannot make it 9.5. So here, any extra above 9.5 will be leaked out. Okay. What happens internally? Here PN junction is heavily doped. That is more particles. Now PN heavily doped means more impurity. Okay. So PN concentration is high of doping. Due to extra electrons, they will repel among each other and the border, that is a depletion layer, will keep decreasing. Electric field will increase, potential difference will increase, width will decrease as electric field, say 5 into 10 to the power 6 volt per meter is developed. Now we have placed this PN junction in reverse bias. Minority charges. In reverse bias, what happens? Only the minority charges are allowed to move. So minority charges will move. Once we increase the voltage, so neutron atoms inside also gets ionized. Hear this again. Once we increase the voltage, neutron atom inside also gets ionized. Every atom will give an electron. Lot of electrons are developed in the semiconductors. And we know I is equal to NeVd. That's the formula for the current. N is what? Number of electrons. So if the number of electron increases, current increases. Again, let's have a look here in this diagram. See, we have studied that there is, from the minority charges, there is small electrons which are in the p type. Those will start moving. So here, if you see, because of reverse biasing, so these some electrons are moving. At a point, then comes the steady current. We have studied till here that there is a steady current that will be developed because of the lack of electrons. But there is a point that comes. This point is where the atoms itself inside will get ionized and more electron. It gives an electron, an extra electron. Lot of electrons are together here in this, and these extra electrons is going to form the current. See the rise in the current here. So in starting, say we had only 20 electrons. We increase the voltage. Current increases. It reaches a saturation point. This point was our saturation point, and due as to reverse bias, only minority electrons were moving. Now initially we see current is increasing, then in stage 2, say this is stage 2, it is constant. This part becomes constant. The current is constant. Then in this stage, there is a rapid increase, and this rapid increase causes, once the voltage reached at a very high number, say 106, we are just taking a random number. All the atoms get ionized at this stage, and at this voltage, they all leave free electrons. Because they have left free electrons, these plenty of electrons can create current of any value. Hope this clarifies you how this current is showing you here. Now let us get back to the Zener diode. Here in this Zener diode, PN junction that is heavily doped starts acting like a conductor and allows the current to flow through it at a particular voltage, and it is called leakage. So all the part which is more than say 9.5 will be leaked out. If the voltage is more, then say 9.5, it is going to leak out. Say 10 is going to leak out and will pass through the load. Hence the result is a steady current. The result will be just a steady current. So what we have applied for a steady current is a Zener diode. So Zener diode acts as a voltage regulator. So what is a voltage regulator? The name for it is Zener diode. So we will look into the equation here, the Zener diode equation. Here if you see, VZ equals to LILRL as parallel branches have the same voltage. So if the voltage in is more than the voltage Z from the Zener, so this will be equal to ISRS. Okay, so what we have understood that the current will become steady. Our voltage that we require. Looking into Zener diode equation, V in stands for input voltage. VZ is the breakdown voltage. So VZ value is say IL into RL, which is as parallel branch have the same voltage. Now parallel branch have the same voltage, so VZ equals to IL into RL. If V in the is more and VZ the dropping resistance RS will pass the voltage as IS RS. Okay, I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you.